College football chalk talk on lowcountryradio.com with Charlie Moon. It's the first edition, a late season start, but hey, we're going to rock and roll with it. Okay, for entertainment purposes only, folks. And your entertainment's going to be probably laughing at me at how horrible I am at my picks from college football. But we're going to get started this weekend on a Friday night game. Miami on the road at NC State. Bottom line, not much analysis here, just too many points. I know the NC State struggled with their backup quarterback, Bailey Hockman, which, hey, actually, some of you low country from Georgia, you guys know his dad is the new head coach or second year head coach at New Hampstead. But Bailey is backup quarterback at NC State. He struggled lately when he's been in there. They suffered an injury to their starting quarterback at NC State, and they really struggled with Bailey in there. But good luck to Bailey tonight. I think you might get some things going. Take NC State plus 10. And then Michigan on Saturday, minus 3.5. I got them against Indiana on the road at Indiana. You say, yeah, well, Michigan, they're not very good on the road. But they got this kid, Joe Milton. He is the real deal. He ran it up against Minnesota, had over 300 yards passing, and he had almost 100 yards rushing at Minnesota. And it was 20 degrees, and it was snowing on the first night of the college football season for Big Ten. And Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, they really like to play bully ball against underdogs. Their problem is they're kind of like my Bulldogs a little bit. They really struggle in some of the big games. So Michigan minus 3.5, and of course you got Indiana. What would you think of Indiana if they didn't get that weird end of the overtime win against Penn State to start the season? What would you think of Indiana? They had that miracle replay situation down towards the pylon, and I don't want to say they were lucky at the end, but they were very fortunate that play call went their way, or Indiana would be 1-1 this year so far, and they would be looked at as just a mediocre team, but they're in the top 25. But Michigan's going to take that one. Iowa minus 6.5 against Michigan State. Last week, Michigan State, they played so well. Big upset against the Michigan Wolverines. And Iowa, they're not very good as a favorite and almost a touchdown. Well, this is one of those, don't believe what you saw last week too much. Iowa minus 6.5 at home. West Virginia plus 5.5 at Texas. The eyes of Texas are upon us. Not tomorrow, though. West Virginia and the boys from New Hampstead and Richmond Hill High School, Bill the Hill, Sam Brown from New Hampstead, and Sam James. They're going to get things done up there at West Virginia tomorrow against Texas. A couple years ago, Sam Ellinger, after he took down the Georgia Bulldogs and my Georgia Dogs in the Sugar Bowl afterwards, he said in his post-game interview press conference right there in the middle of the Superdome in New Orleans, he said, "We're back." Texas, no, they're not back. Yeah, they had a big win on the road against the top 10 Oklahoma State team last week, and they ran up a bunch of points and won in overtime, and you got to be thinking, oh my gosh, Texas is back. What a big win on the road against the top 10 Oklahoma State team. This is what happens the next week. Don't believe what you saw last week. West Virginia plus 5.5. Northwestern minus 3.5 against, who are they playing? Oh my goodness. Northwestern minus 3.5. Got them down on my sheet here. They're mad because they had a big comeback win against Iowa last week, and they're mad. Their whole entire fan base is really upset. They're not in the top 25. Well, they get a chance this week. Nebraska, that's who they're taking on. Nebraska's just not the same black shirt Nebraska they used to be. They're very soft. They've got a great coach in Scott Frost, but he hasn't had his 3 or 4 years yet to really build that team to what he wants. He came in, Nebraska was running their old school run the ball offense, and he just hasn't had time to get his guys in there like he did when he was at Central Florida. So Northwestern minus 3.5. Penn State and Maryland over 63. Bottom line, just neither one of them play any defense. Penn State doesn't play any defense, and they both can run the ball up and down the field of basketball on grass. That's what you'll see on Saturday. Penn State, Maryland over 63. South Carolina Gamecocks, old Kevin Harris, he's getting it done at South Carolina. Former Bradwell Institute Tiger, Tim Melhorn, myself, and Josh Lamont and Leslie Lockhart were fortunate enough to call his games. And I remember one time Josh Lamont was doing color, and I was giving the play call of Kevin Harris, and I said, I keep those legs churning, Kevin Harris. And he does the same thing now at South Carolina. He's got speed, but his big thing is power. And after that play, Josh Lamont said, it looks like an M180 running through there. And I said, what's an M180? He said, Josh Lamont said, it's a tank. That's what he is. Of course, Mr. Lamont was a recently retired military, and he knows what he's talking about. He's a big wig down at Fort Stewart. He described Kevin Harris as a tank, and he's doing the same thing now as a true sophomore at South Carolina. And Texas A&M, they rely on speed on defense. They're in the top 10, and these are the types of games at Williams-Brice, my alma mater. They'll jump up and nip some teams. They've had a history of doing that. Late in the season, they struggle against. They struggle as underdogs. They get worn down a little bit in a rugged SEC schedule, and I don't want to say they totally give up, but they're just too worn down. They just don't have the horses. Well, Kevin Harris is changing the South Carolina offense into a big boy offense, and they're going to take care of business tomorrow. Plus 10, that's just too many points. So look for Sandspur country down there in Gamecock country. Sandspur, South Carolina Sandspur, all that good stuff. But now I want to go to my Georgia Bulldogs against the Gators tomorrow.
Got a block behind him. Got a throw and a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey's got. Can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with
Of course, we all know who that is, the legendary Larry Munson. Oh, my goodness, and he's got to be smiling down on Jacksonville tomorrow. This is one of those games where you've got Georgia's a small favorite, 3 points against the Gator team. That's really, they turned into basketball on grass themselves under Jeff Trask. But I think they've got some things going on. They got a couple guys that are suspended. They had a fight with a Missouri team going into the locker room at the end of halftime last week, and Dan Mullen really kind of embarrassed his university and in the media down there in Gainesville all week this week. Even the local media and a lot of fans have, they're great Gator fans, but even they have been upset with Mullen and how he actually spurred on that fight against Missouri last week. But as far as on the field, Florida's put up tons of points this year, over 43 times, including last week against a decent Missouri Tiger team. And Georgia, they've had their problems on offense. And you got Stetson Bennett in there, and he was basically their fourth quarterback coming into the season, and now because of injuries and Jamie Newman leaving, and JT Daniels, the transfer from USC Southern Cal, that for whatever reason he was injured, but he's okay now and he hasn't seen the field, so that leads you to believe that JT Daniels just got some problems, and the offense has struggled under Bennett. And give Bennett all the credit in the world, because he's doing what he can do and he's playing as well as he can. So you got so many people saying, oh, there's no way, this Georgia offense is just so ugly the last few weeks. They scored only 14 points at Kentucky last week. And this Florida team, their basketball on grass, putting up 40 points on a regular basis. And we got both safeties out for Georgia, including another Liberty County kid, Richard LeCount. You got 3 more guys off the Georgia defensive front that are gone for tomorrow too. But this is a game where it's tricky. It's going to come back and get you. Everybody's saying, oh, Florida, Florida, Florida. This is not a homer pick for me. It is Georgia -3, only because of that. If you had to ask me without the thought process of Georgia, the woe is me. Oh my goodness, how can we even do this? And all the fans from around the country saying they've got so many problems on offense, and now they got 4 guys out on defense. I don't see how they're going to stay on the field with them. if it wasn't for that thought process, if I'm thinking strictly players and how well the teams are playing and what they're how well they're doing on the field, I would say Florida Gators too, definitely. But that's where these things get you. Take the Dogs, -3.